Okay, Where Next Podcast, episode 1. 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Where Next Podcast. I am Travis Smith, your host, and with me is the wonderful Cullen.
I'm the wonderful now.
You are. He's wonderful. You guys will
I
come to
am.
learn that he can be wonderful.
If he was to say anything else, he'd get a beating.
He's really wonderful. I love him.
That's what I thought.
But yeah, no, welcome. And welcome to, this is our, well, I presume the first ever episode. If that's what the script says. That's what it says first, number 1.
I'm checking the script.
He's
Reading the script.
Reading the script.
Yeah, it's
And,
the best.
it's wonderful to finally be sat down and recording because it's been quite a long time in the planning. As some of you watching will probably know. I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
It's been, well, I mean, we've wanted to film this since what? Since we first got back from Japan, right?
Yeah, I mean, like more than a year now. More than a year. Which is, it's crazy to think that all of that has led to this moment, this recording moment.
Yeah, same here.
And the editing, I expected so much more. A big studio, lights and cameras.
I expected
and
less, if anything, so I mean, I'm happy.
He expected nothing, and he wasn't disappointed.
True.
Yeah, no, but we're really excited to finally start up this podcast because, as you said, we've been thinking about it for a long time. We have a lot of stories we want to share, and that does lead on nicely to like what this podcast is about for those of you who don't know yet. And to put it simply, this is going to be about travel. It's going to be mostly about Japan, as that's where me and Cullen actually lived for a period of time, and it's going to be about basically everything we've experienced, everything we want to share with you, and then basically anything else.
Pretty much whatever we end up talking about.
We're going to go on some crazy tangents, and it's a one-way ticket. You're getting on the train, you're getting on the tangent train.
It's a long train.
Yeah, you're going to be
Not much resting with this train.
yeah, there's no rest, there's no juice on this train, just orange juice on the train.
Just alright, but I thought they said there was no juice.
There is juice, just orange juice.
Just the OJ.
There's no apple juice.
What? Well, I love apple juice.
There's no juice, just orange
There's
juice.
no, Travis, you used to love apple juice growing up. I
Yeah.
was the orange juice guy. I would be like drinking that or OJ, and you were like,
Well, I think I just
apples.
wanted to be different because everyone I knew, right, they loved orange juice. And I was like,
I
well,
want to be
you know
different.
what? I'm the old kid. I've got.
I'm not like the other boys. I drink apple juice.
I was
of
wearing
orange
those
juice."
fake tattoo sleeves, drinking my apple juice.
All right,
In the back of my mum's car. Anyway, tangent already.
focus.
Yeah. So if you want to stick around for this podcast, you can expect to, get a lot of stories about Japan. If you're looking to travel to Japan, if you're looking to live in Japan, teach in Japan,
Or if you just like Japan, really.
yeah, or if you as well, we also spent quite a long time in Korea, and we went around Asia in general. So if that interests you, I know the YouTube landscape scene for Japan has grown quite a lot recently.
Yeah, I
We've
think
been
so.
inspired by several YouTubers who we would watch even while in Japan. People like Abroad in Japan or Joey the Anime Man. Channels that they've been around for a long time, but I think they become really mainstream lately, especially with COVID.
I think because people are trapped inside, and
Yeah.
they can't go anywhere. They're much more likely to be kind of pulled towards that kind of, this is this part of the world, and this is what you could be
Yeah.
doing, which you're not.
You're listening to a podcast.
Fuck.
But the point is that, not only should hopefully this podcast be entertaining, hopefully, right?
Hopefully.
I mean, it should also set you up with a little bit of prior knowledge.
Prior knowledge.
Porridge? Prior porridge?
Prior porridge?
knowledge. Prior knowledge.
What's he talking about?
Prior porridge. To traveling to Japan and actually having a bit of a foot ahead of the crowd when you get there. So
yeah, and you'll have that by listening to our stories, which mean that we did all the wrong things.
Yeah,
So
and
you'll
you don't
know
have to
what
repeat those.
not to do.
You don't have
Or
to
if
make up
you-
the stupid
You want
mistakes.
to make some nice stories, you do the wrong thing as well.
There you go.
Maybe not the same as us, but
Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, we are just really looking forward to sharing it with you guys because it's kind of hard for us because of COVID. Getting sat down in the same room for one,
Yeah.
getting
Set up,
videos made and
same
stuff. It's
lights.
been really, really hard. And we wanted a way that we could share our experiences and share the stuff we're passionate about with people who might feel the same. And originally we'd wanted to do videos on like vlogging in Japan and vlogging about stuff we've done in Japan once we came back. But because of COVID, obviously we couldn't stay in Japan. We had to, most of our footage didn't turn out the way we wanted it to. And one or so things happened and now here we are.
That is true. I mean, we'll definitely we'll be like scattering some videos of Japan in here. If we're telling a story, might just add a little clip in there, say like, oh yeah, no, this will happen.
Yeah, and that's the wonderful thing about it is that this podcast doesn't need to stick just to one topic. It's not going to be something where you turn it on, you're hoping to learn a lesson. It's just, part of traveling is meeting amazing people, it's having amazing experiences, and, we'd love to be that, someone watched our podcast, got inspired to go to Japan and had those amazing things for themselves.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, I would definitely recommend it to anyone. But
it's just, it's such a different world. I don't know, obviously, where our audience is going to end up being from, but obviously we're from the UK, and Japan is extremely different to the UK. And I'd imagine a large percentage of our viewers will be from America or the US.
Yeah, probably America.
So if you're from the US, bonjour.
They speak French in the US.
Oh yeah, in French place.
In Paris.
In Texas.
Yeah, Paris, Texas.
Yeah, Paris, Texas.
Well done, man.
Wow. Anyway,
I have a question for you, Travis.
Yeah, hi.
What is your chosen drink today?
That is a wonderful thing. So I just bought myself this wonderful bottle. Wow. So you can't actually see what's in it, but it's water.
You can hear it though.
Water for today.
Water for today? I myself have got some bubble iced tea.
Wow, you went all out with it.
Tastes really good. Homemade.
I didn't go all out with it. I was just.
Well, I drink this anyway, so I figured if we're making a podcast, I may as well. I mean, you can hear the ice.
Can you hear it? Huh. Oh yeah. That is weird. I mean, yeah.
Tastes good though. I think most times we'll try and have like Japanese drinks in here.
Yeah, fingers crossed that we're not just going to be drinking water every time.
Well, I've never drank water. Ever. In my life, no.
Not in your life.
No.
Wow.
My girlfriend keeps trying to make me drink water, and I'm like, no. No water.
No water.
They don't drink water in Japan.
That's fair enough. I mean, did you drink Japanese water in Japan?
I want to say no.
I often wouldn't have tap water.
They sell French water everywhere.
Yeah, like, I don't know what the brands are, but...
Yeah, the red one.
Oh, yeah.
With the mountains.
Yeah.
They sell it in every vending machine. It's like French.
Yeah. It always has a French flag on the vending machine. It's like, aha, French here, you can take your water,
Oh, very French.
Oh, yeah,
Only travel the entire globe.
And that is actually a thing. I seem to remember reading somewhere that to Asian people in Japan and Korea and Singapore, etc., France and Paris are seen as the ultimate destination in the West.
Yeah, it's kind of the place of love, isn't it?
Yeah, just like how Tokyo or Seoul might be seen as the ultimate place to travel for Western people to experience the other side of Eastern culture. Paris is supposedly the number one spot for that for Japanese people.
Well, it's a big city.
And there's actually this like I should have researched it, but there's actually this term for Japanese or Asian people being disappointed by Paris.
Really?
Like there's literally they made a term for it because it's apparently so common.
Jesus, I mean Paris needs to up their game a bit.
They do.
Just as well they haven't come to the UK.
Oh yeah, well they wouldn't have stayed.
They go to Drake in Scotland or wherever.
Wow. Oh yeah, Dull.
Dull.
Which is paired with boring in Oregon.
Welcome to Dull.
No, that was Dull is a lovely town.
I do like a bit of Dull.
It's got some nice moors near it.
Moors? Yeah, you got little hills.
Yeah, little hills. For those
mountains.
of you who don't know, Dull is a town or village near to where we were last visiting in Scotland, and true to its name, it was very boring.
Literally grey as hell.
It was. It didn't help that it was raining while we were there. It was not nice.
Well, that's why its whole selling point is. It's like, yeah, we're dull as.
But I'll tell you something that isn't dull. Yeah.
Yeah.
You see this transition? I'll tell you something that isn't dull. Japan.
Japan?
Whoa.
Not dull?
Wow.
What Japan were you staying in?
No, the Japan.
The Japan
The-
Where Next podcast.
Yes. Basically, the first thing I wanted to talk on, culture shock. Is it real? Will it happen to the people watching this if they travel? Like, were you affected by culture shock in any way?
I don't think I realized at the time it was culture shock, because you're like, culture shock? What are you talking about?
I feel fine.
I'm good.
I'm
But yeah,
chilling.
definitely. I mean, it's just like, it's a case of like, you mix culture shock with like jet lag, and what you've got is a recipe for like depression.
Oh, I
right?
just got a headache just thinking about it.
Culture shock, I think, is like, it really depends. I feel like you only get affected by culture shock once, because after that you
Well, because
you know,
you're not going to be shocked by the culture.
yeah,
are you?
yeah, true. But what I mean is like, it's like once you land in Japan, the different areas of Japan have different culture, right? It's very different depending on where you're going. But I feel like once you've adapted to that kind of
Yeah.
Japanese kind of way of living.
Bless you.
Thank you. I don't know if you blessed us, but
It's all that boba tea.
yeah, it is. I don't know if it's not fizzy, but
Yeah, no, I think I know where you're coming from. It's like that first couple of days is like you almost feel like you're relearning how to walk. You know what I mean? Like you don't know how to act, and some things you might not even think about. Like a lot of YouTubers have covered stuff like, oh, you know,
don't do this.
yeah, like things not to do and things to do, and it's like you just kind of forget that you won't even be able to talk to someone the same way. Like what would be seen as like really polite in your country is just maybe not even present. It may not be that they don't like it. Like I've never gotten to a Japanese person and be like, thanks mate, and they'd be like
It's just the case of like, also another thing I think is that I know that and I think a lot of people going to Japan are, you're like overly cautious, because all these YouTubers, I see them online, and they're like, whatever you do when you go to Japan, if you do this one minor tiny thing, you'll get executed.
oh my god, you put your you drank while walking down the road.
If you're moving and drinking at the same time, it's a national crime. It's like no one really cares.
Yeah, well, then most of them I've seen in good tips. I think lots of YouTubers done like 13 things not to do in Japan. I think Abroad in Japan did one. And they are good tips. I think
a few of them are good.
like they're worth remembering. But you don't need to live and die by that sword, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, a lot of things are also just like stuff that you kind of presume you do in your own country anyway.
yeah, like someone's like, don't litter, don't talk on your cell phone on the train.
It's like, yeah.
I wouldn't have done those anyway.
It's like, you know, don't disturb people.
Yeah, don't be a public menace.
Don't be a dickhead.
Don't commit arson. Like, oh shit, you're telling me I can't commit arson?
I'm on the plane to Japan. I'm just like, I'll fit in with the plane's trashy Wi-Fi. I'm like, I'll fit in one more YouTube video. Whatever you do, don't murder people in Japan.
Huh?
I'm like, turn this plane around. You know what I mean? Like,
I gotta get home.
I want to go back to the land of the free.
Whatever you do, don't breathe in Japan. Final breath of that plain air, then you're on your own.
Whatever you do, if you packed a sandwich on your way to Japan, don't eat it. It must be given to a local.
That's another thing. Eating when you arrive in Japan, right? It sounds so trivial. You're like, I'll just eat whatever I packed, whatever my mum packed in my bag.
Mummy,
oh yeah, those
thank
cheese
you.
and cucumber sandwiches, the staple. You know.
The staple of British culture.
But the thing is, what you will find straight away is you're like, oh yeah, I've seen all this Ichiban ramen, oh, amazing ramen dishes, or like, oh, this Wagyu beef, and mate, you'll just gravitate to like some garbage trash food in Family Mart. Or
You go to Family Mart, you're like, I wonder what I should eat today.
I swear, I've seen it at least 10 times over my year and a half in Japan, where I'd be walking into like a 7-Eleven or a Family Mart or a Lawson's in a like foreigner friendly area, and you'd see like at least 2 foreigners running. They're like, where are the onigiris?
Onigiri time.
Yeah, and
Onigiri stuff like fine. I think when you first arrive and you're like, yo, I want to try all these things I've seen. You know what I mean? Like all the stuff I hear about online, all the things that maybe if you got friends from there they told you about, and you go and you take a bite into your onigiri and you're like, wow,
it's rice with some meat, or
you know, wow,
sauce.
it's rice with filling, and you're like, oh, that's good. that's real good. And then it's like 2 months later, you just haven't thought about onigiri in months, and
But that is the
you're holding your fried chicken in one hand. Your
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't.
Coca-Cola.
Japan's not known. It might be known a bit more recently, but when we went, the whole like fried chicken from Konbini's wasn't really talked about that much. I'd never heard it when I went,
No,
but now I think it's quite well documented.
I thought I was like innovation. I was talking to people when I was in Japan. I was saying like, you know, this last month I've been eating a lot of fried chicken from Konbini's, and like, wow. I mean, did anyone know it was this good? It tastes amazing. I was like, wow. You know what? It would just happen to be an item. I happen to eat it. I happen to be enlightened. But then I realized, like, no, everyone's had this enlightenment.
Everyone's had that. I mean, it's at the front of the store.
You know, you talk to your niece who's never even been to Japan.
Oh
they're
yeah,
like,
I've had
"Oh
Family
my
Mart fried
God,
chicken.
Family fried chicken. I saw it on YouTube.
I saw them eating all 100 types of chicken.
Next, I'll be drinking, you know, Strong Zero. I'm
Oh,
the age
God.
of 11.
I mean, we'll cover Konbini's more in a later episode because I think they deserve their own,
it's
their whole thing.
their
Like,
own podcast.
yeah, we'll see. Who knows? Maybe.
The Konbini podcast.
Whoa. You're coming back to this from like later episodes. I want to see what their first episode was all those years ago. And you're like, they've done 12 Konbini episodes now.
Probably.
They've done a special in a Konbini.
Hey guys, and welcome to Lawson. The
I'm
only
here-
one that will allow us to film.
I'm here with Lawson, the real Lawson.
Just some guy you found on the street.
His name happens to be Lawson.
Excuse me, sir, is your name Lawson? Yes.
We couldn't get Family Mart, but we could get Family Cart. It's a cart with my family. Okay.
Comparing Iceland in the UK to Family Mart, they're just not the same.
End of video. Anyway, but I mean, I think when you arrive in Japan, or even maybe not even when you arrive in Japan, when you get used to being in Japan, because when you arrive in any country, even in like somewhere that doesn't have a very different culture than you, you're always going to be a bit like, oh yeah, what am I doing? What am I doing? Because it's all new. But I think it takes a few days to kind of settle in the culture shock, because before you just thought it was that, oh, I've never seen that before. But I remember I had a case where I was walking. Basically, we lived on this corner above a jazz club in our first apartment, and to get to the supermarket, there was a supermarket right next. No, I don't know what they call them in Japan. Supermarkets, just the supermarket. Wow. To get to the supermarket, we had to go through a few alleys and then onto the main road and down. And I remember I was coming out of my apartment complex, and everyone else that was living in this block of apartments, they were all like just normal Japanese people or families. And I remember there was this big like what was it, foyer where you could collect your post or your mail or whatever you'd ordered.
The mailing system.
And I remember walking down the stairs through there, and obviously a Japanese elderly lady saw me coming down, and I think she just presumed that I was lost or something, because she started like, "Oh, young man," she was speaking English, and she's like, "Young man, this is not a holiday place." I'm like, "Sorry, old lady, but I live here."
Sorry, mademoiselle.
Mademoiselle, please let me by. Do not slow me down. I'm
a roller coaster.
I'm on my way to get some crisps from the local store.
Shooting star.
Yeah, and then I remember that was, for some reason, that just kicked off because that was quite a long way into the time I'd been living in Japan. But it kicked off that culture shock again, because I was like,
someone like alienating
she
you.
just presumed that I wasn't supposed to be there, and you know, I don't think she meant any bad. In my time in Japan, I don't think a single person gave the obvious impression that they wanted to do us bad.
No.
In Korea, that's a different story, because there was a few cases of that. But you will quite often have that kind of thing where you're like, oh yeah, I'm not really supposed to be here. Like, this isn't.
Which is like that difference of, are you forever going to feel like a tourist, or because you're living there, do you want it to feel like you're living there?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, if you're going to Japan for like 3 weeks or less, you know, you're just going on holiday, you don't really need to worry about culture shock, because you're probably not going to feel it because you're just going to be having too much fun.
Yeah, gonna be the culture shock's probably what you're looking for. You're looking for that difference.
Looking for that kind of like into the cold water kind of thing.
Culture shock doesn't come from like I went to Tokyo Tower and I climbed it, and the culture shock was huge. It comes from things like
this tower is so different to the tower I have at home.
It comes to things like, oh fuck, how do I register that I'm living in a place? Or
how do I do my taxes?
How do I have to sign up for the bins to be done?
Oh god, the police are looking at me funny. Keep your head down.
Oh my god, the streets.
How do I sort the bins?
I love how they presume that like foreigners won't know how to sort the bins.
Yeah, they give you like this information pamphlet.
It's like,
at least our
just so
apartment block
you
gave us this
know.
huge thing. It's like this color goes with this, and this is because I don't know about in America, but in the UK we do have a certain degree of sorting our trash, our recycling and our rubbish. But I think that does vary from region to region.
There's
within the UK.
five. There's 6 boxes you can put it in. Why did I do this instead of just doing that?
Man.
There's 6 that you can put it in, right? You've got your normal waste.
Yeah.
You've got your
recycling.
Your garden waste.
Oh yeah.
Your disposable recycling.
Yeah.
You've got your like green recycling bottles, shit like that.
It's bottles and cardboard.
Yeah.
Like metal cans and plastic.
Yeah.
General waste.
Yeah.
Garden waste.
Yeah.
Paper and food waste.
Food waste. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in Japan, it's like
this
bottles
bottle,
1, glass bottles 1,
newspapers,
broken glass bottles 1, newspaper, paper, cardboard.
Like general waste doesn't exist. It just splits out like all the general waste.
Yeah.
It's weird, but I mean, in the same way, it's not that big of a chore once you get into it.
No, so that's when you're saying culture shock. You know, something you get over so quickly, but it is kind of like. And that's maybe not the best example, but it's things like, everything needs to be signed for by someone else.
Yeah, you have to, like, in the UK, you can probably send an email to somebody. Let's say you lost something in your apartment block, and you're waiting to try and get that back, and you want to try and see if anyone's found it. You might send off, in the UK, you might send off an email or something to the people who run it, and they're like, yo, I lost this, can you look for it? They'd probably, have someone doing it that day. In Japan, you'd be like, oh yeah, can I get permission to send this person an email? So they'll send that person an email.
Please give me
permission. Who will then tell this
breathe.
person to do something if they have signed for it on the Tuesday. And it's just complicated. It works, don't get me wrong, it all works. But there's only so many times I can see people faxing each other, and I'm like, what's going on?
I'm scared to criticize Japan nowadays.
Yeah.
I hear all the stories.
The stories.
Oh, you say like one thing bad, you're like, oh, Japan. Maybe they ask a bit for permission from other people too much, and then you get like, God damn you.
The Japan warriors in the comments who are like, what did you just say?
Who aren't even Japanese.
Yeah, they've never been in Japan. They're like, how dare you disrespect Japanese culture like that? I'm like, mate. Like, all I said was their rubbish system was weird.
I remember my first time I got that was, we were in Korea at the time, and I posted something on social media, something like this, saying where we were from, and I wrote it in Japanese as well. And they came and they're like, just so someone messaged me, they like replied to it, they're like, just so you know, it's not said like that, it's said like this, and also you said that's actually not called this, it's called that.
Oh,
and it was just like really wrong. It's like,
oh, big example would be when I started learning Japanese, because in Japan I learned enough to get around, but I never had time with my job and with traveling and with all the extra stuff we had going on to like properly knuckle down on the language, apart from like the odd Duolingo lesson or something like that. You know what I mean?
Beg for your life in Spanish.
And so I could speak more than most foreigners could, and enough to deal with problems that I couldn't deal with in English. But, everyone has to start somewhere. And I remember when I started learning, there was stuff I didn't know. And some of those are like Japanese grammar or Japanese, weird things that are not written the way. Like, when you're writing like konnichiwa or something like that, you have to change some of the wa at the end to a ha. and you're like, who knows why you do that. Even I can barely remember the reasoning behind that. But if you didn't know that and you saw someone write Konnichiwa in hiragana, you'd probably call them out for being wrong. And I got that a lot. I'd have people come to me and they're like, you spelt the most basic thing wrong, man. I'm like, ha ha, you feeble mortal.
You're walking up to me.
Don't approach me.
No.
Don't even bother.
Get as close as you like.
Yeah, JoJo references. But thing is, in most of those cases, it's really innocent because they're not to know any better.
No.
I maybe would have made that mistake a few years ago. And it's the ones where there's just no need for it. Like, you'll be saying like, oh, I don't like the taste of mochi or something. And they'll be like, mochi's actually like a cultural staple in Japan, and you're not liking it. It's really offensive to the local mochi makers. Like, I didn't meet the local mochi makers. I was buying $1 mochi in fucking 7-Eleven. I was chewing on it. I didn't like it.
Piece of plastic.
Like, calm down, bro. It was like, it was in the back. Like, I had to put my hand through like 18 different products to get to it. Like that. The guy who made it, he's not gonna be like, oh my god, Travis Smith didn't like my mochi.
This random foreigner who no one cares about didn't like my mochi.
But they're like, they act like the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the Japanese. It's like, mate, you don't speak for nothing. Like, calm down, bro.
They got a savior complex.
Yeah, man. I know you got yellow fever. No need to tell me about it, bro. You know what I mean? I mean, like, I don't need to know about that.
Well, you meet the people who they're very open to just being in Asia because they want to get with someone.
So weird. I had a couple of stories that I never really saw that in Japan.
Korea a lot,
but
though.
Korea a lot. I mean, I got nothing against K-pop, but some of y'all need to chill.
They do need to chill.
We just lost all our likes.
All the viewers leaving.
Cancelled. We just hit a fucking bomb. Anyway. So yeah, culture shock is a real thing.
Trying to find back the fucking thing we were on, like, oh, I'm so orange juice. Am I right?
Whoa! But what's one thing like you weren't expecting about Japan? For me, it was like, I remember I went into a store and I was looking to buy like some food. I wanted a snack, and what you'll learn in time is Japan's food is really, really good. Like, the lowest level of food is still, like, a good way into most countries' food levels. And I remember I was like, well, what's this? Melon pan?
Oh, melon.
And I thought to myself, I don't like melon flavors that much. I've never been a big melon guy. You know, before this, you know, what do you got in the UK? You got, like...
Melon's just not used here.
Watermelon Haribos on the seasonal.
You maybe will get a slice of melon,
yeah,
if you're lucky.
Melon with what do they put it with? Avocado.
Oh my
Christmas.
god, yeah. That's weird.
Yeah. And so, you know, for me, melon wasn't a big part of my taste buds. And I was like, yeah, I'll try a melon pan. For reference, this is a melon pan here.
Oh, that looks tasty.
I want some of that.
I miss those.
Yeah, and I remember trying it, and I was like, oh my god, Japan does melon well.
It does do melon well.
Like, wow. It tasted so good. Melon pans are, for anyone who hasn't had one, I definitely recommend when you go to Japan, try them out. As long as you're not on a diet, so I probably wouldn't be able to have one now.
Well, because it's like it's bread, but sweet bread.
Yeah, it's like a sweet
so
bread.
It's bread with sugar, and then you got the sugary kind of melon texture.
Yeah.
Then it's kind of baked, so in a kind of sugar thing, and it's topped. And this is the best bit with more sugar. And you're biting it, and you're like, "Whoa,
wow!"
You feel like your red blood cells like having a harder time going through. You know what I mean?
The cholesterol levels just fucking.
It's crazy because Japan is all about health, right? You know, for their residents there, you know, you need to be keeping healthy. You're given the support to keep healthy, and yet they're like a lot of the stuff that you buy from convenience and stuff is just like, yes. You know, I'm going to make this piece of bread, which is covered in sugar and melony. It's so good that you will become addicted.
Like, oh, what's that? You haven't previously had a sugar addiction. Now you do, and it's in everything.
What's that? The cheapest fucking thing to buy at the store is literally just called a sugar.
Yeah, sugar. Suga. It's like a donut.
It's like a yum yum.
It's like a yum yum. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but
it's like it's not like a yum yum in the fact that it's like a yum yums are usually like pastries which kind of pull apart, soft in the middle with sugar on the edge.
This is more like a American style glazed donut with the filling
of a rubber compactor.
Of rubber.
And so you pull it, it's like blue.
and then when you bite into it, you chew it, and it feels like you're eating nothing.
A gluten
Like
sugar.
glutenized yum yums.
Yeah, sugar. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, it still tastes good.
It does taste good, and I came back from Japan about a year later from being back in Japan. I was going through a piece of clothing I never wore. I found I had a packet for sugar in
Really?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I did that as well. Actually, I was going through my Gore-Tex coat that I wore because when we arrived in Japan, it was the monsoon season, like deep in. It was rough. It was really rainy, really stormy a lot. It was still hot. It was still relatively hot for British people. It was hot.
It was hot.
And then you have that like warm rain, but I still had to wear a coat because else my clothes would just get drenched every time. But I remember I went into my pocket once I got to uni actually, and I just pulled out like my ticket to Tokyo Tower the first time I went. I was like, I'm happy I've got that, and I put it on my wall.
Yeah, I used to have things all pinned up in my last apartment, but I haven't actually taken the time to pin anything up in this one.
Yeah, because of COVID, we had to leave where we were living in England because we're at university right now, and we haven't been able to get back here until like 2 weeks ago now,
roughly.
And in that time we've actually tried to record quite a few episodes, but we had setup issues which have limited us until now.
It'll be 2 weeks and 1 day tomorrow.
Wow, that's a long time. It's not that long.
So thus it's actually 2 weeks today.
Oh wow, let's go. But I mean, it's interesting because for us, what we have left from Japan isn't really enough. That's partly why we're doing this podcast, because when you go for a holiday, it's so short and your memories are so intense that you don't really need much memorabilia to remember it properly and to feel like you had a good time. But because we were there for so long, and
there's days where just like I won't remember they happened, and it's like, and I'll be like scrolling through my phone or going through like my SD card on my camera, and I'll catch like a one picture of something, and it's like it unlocks like a memory of a day I just didn't even remember happened.
It's like nostalgia just hits you randomly, and it has led to some nights where it's been quite tough because it's like feeling at home somewhere, and then leaving because of things outside of your control. And then just being stuck, unable to get back into that. Because when we left for Japan, we were still living with our parents. I mean, we were in Japan for a long time. It was the longest time we've ever lived away from our parents.
Yeah, we never lived away.
And we never went back. We came straight to university. We haven't lived at our home since.
Apart from for COVID,
And so it kind of went from, we found our identity in our different living areas in Japan and Korea, because we were there for a fair amount of time. To then just coming back and not really having a solid place where we could call our home, and so we still kind of link it back to Japan a lot of the time. But I mean, it's not, I don't think you guys watching, unless you're planning to live in Japan long term, will feel that same like regret for not like bringing stuff back. I don't think you need to worry about that, but it's just a bit of insight into,
especially if you're going to live there long time. It depends. If you go to Japan, a lot of people do end up like wanting to leave after about a year, because a lot of people go to Japan for like the wrong kind of reasons. They think that Japan will make their life great, and even if they if they do a shit job in Japan, it'll be great.
If you have a shit time doing something in your country, eventually you'll have a shit time doing it in Japan.
Japan won't save it for you,
no,
because lots of people in Japan who live there, not lots of residents, they work very shit jobs.
That's the thing. I mean, we'll probably do an episode about teaching in Japan, because it's something I know a lot of people are very interested in. Teaching in Japan is a good way into Japan, and as long as you have a degree from a university and a teaching English as a foreign language qualification, you're quite likely to find your way 100%. There. Like, I don't think it'd be that hard at all.
Yeah, you go to the middle of nowhere in some urban village.
The only problem is, these teaching jobs, they're not super well paid. They're long hours, they're hard, and you're working in an environment which for most people is quite alien. Like, not many people are used to actually teaching. If you have, I actually do remember I saw a YouTuber, Dogen, yeah. He made a really good video about it. It was he does comedy videos, and it was extremely good. And he was saying how if you love teaching, and you'd happily take that job
in the country you're based in now,
then you'll love it in Japan and you'll thrive. If you wouldn't take it in any country apart from Japan, then you're not going for the teaching, you're going for Japan, and you're not going to be able to get Japan while you're there.
Yeah, I think that's really good. I mean, I'd probably say the teaching here anyway, because I'd like to have more jobs. But
I mean, we both use teaching English in Japan as a way to get money, but we never actually taught in an establishment like most people do, because there is some ways that you can take online teaching lessons, but we never did that much, to be honest. It was always
we had jobs outside of teaching, which was kind of lucky.
Lucky
they weren't jobs based in Japan per se. They were kind of just online jobs, which you could do from wherever you want. And that's partly the reason why we had to go to Korea, because that was actually where my business was based. I had to go and do some meetings there, shit like that. But
we got a free dinner. His boss treated me to a free dinner.
Yeah, I know.
Wasn't even in the company.
Yeah,
I just nommed up that man's money.
You did.
I nom 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 nom. I ate so much I got fat.
It's not very nice, is it? It's not true.
Thanks, buddy. Anyway, when you're going to Japan, Carl, and you're a viewer now looking at it, and you're thinking, yeah, I still want to go to Japan. Like, after COVID, that's the place I want to go. What's the best way to like make use of your time there if you like YouTube, if you like being creative? Like, what can they learn from our mistakes?
I think we went there and we kind of thought, you know what, when we film, when we talk, when we make like these kind of memorabilia, it will just happen when it does. I think you need to be like actively looking at, hey, I'm gonna film something today. It's gonna be this day. It's gonna be this location. This kind of stuff. Because we would go places which were great for filming. You could even just like memorabilia filming, like, you know, with your phone, and you still end up not doing it.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a difference between if you're going for like 2 weeks, I wouldn't recommend trying to make YouTube videos while you're there.
Maybe one,
because it's quite stressful, and I think a lot of people on YouTube or who want to be on YouTube don't realize the actual pressure behind making YouTube videos.
Filming in public ain't fun.
No, it's not fun. It's not fun even in Japan. I mean, maybe it's
horrible
worse.
in Japan. Yeah, worse.
I mean, they're not going to make fun of you, but you just feel like, you know, we were talking before about, you know, the kind of rules of Japan, culture shock. You feel like you're breaking unspoken rules, and like you don't know what you're doing. You know.
A lot of being in Japan is trying not to alienate yourself.
Yeah. No one. That's the problem. No one actually alienates you often. You alienate yourself more than they will. I mean, we have some examples of. You're always going to face the odd example of like, they look to me a bit weird. It's probably because I'm a foreigner. But, oh, pardon me. But it's not really the key point of Japan. I would never say that it's impacted me to a degree where I felt I needed to talk about it, or I needed to bring it up. I mean, that's not to say I won't. You know, I've got to get those YouTube likes, you know what I mean? But I wouldn't say you need to worry about that. And if you want to record in public in Japan, just do yourself a quick little Google about, you know, where's a good place to film, where's not a good place to film. For instance, you really shouldn't be filming on trains in Japan without a permit.
Yeah. And
you shouldn't be filming in establishments which are private and they haven't given you explicit permission to record there. So
that's include stores, anything like that. You can't. It's not like in the UK where you just walk into Tesco's, you grab your phone out and you start recording something.
Yeah, I mean, you probably could, and you know, I do think when I first arrived in Japan, I would record like what I was going to buy in Family Mart or something, because I just wasn't aware that you weren't supposed to be recording there. But it's quite often, if you have a good reason to record in a place, there is people you can contact to get that recording rights, and it's not too hard.
Yeah,
especially if you are a YouTuber who's wanting to like start making videos in Japan, and you can show them that evidence that you're like, yo, this brings this to the country. There's been several YouTubers recently that have moved to Japan purely on the merit of being a YouTuber, that's
crazy,
insane.
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to a case of, even obviously if you're doing like small scale filming, 2 people, something like that, for like us, it's not really gonna matter so much. But even on like the streets, if you have something like where you got a bit of a crew behind you, or you got your friends who are coming to help you with audio, that kind of stuff, sometimes you still have to go, and you don't need permission, but you want to have said that you've, if someone's coming up to you, you're gonna get questioned by like a policeman, you want to be able to say that you've got permission to be filming that.
Because you want to try and avoid, and obviously again, this is criticizing Japan, which I don't want to get into the habit of doing, but you do want to try and avoid interacting with the police as much as possible, I'd say.
That is true.
Because, I'm not sure which country our viewers are from, obviously, but in the UK, the police force, although no police force is amazing, right?
No.
You don't really need to feel like every single policeman ever has got something out for you. Well, then again, I'm white.
So, we're in a position of privilege, but I think even still in the UK, the police are less of a presence force. You don't feel them there all the time. If you're a certain kind of person, you may be a minority, something like that, living in a certain area, that probably doesn't count. Yeah, you probably will feel that they're on your back. But in Japan, it's kind of a case of where you don't need to be a minority. You don't need to really be anything. As long as you're not Japanese, they're probably going to be on your back.
Japan still has this feeling, and when you're in Japan, you will feel this, that there is almost everybody is just Japanese. They it's almost like it's just one race of people, and unfortunately there's still quite a lot of that implemented in Japan, where it's like, if you're anything other than standard, just Japanese born and bred, you stand out, because there's growing up in London and growing up in the UK, there's such a huge ethnical majority of random different people, like diversity.
Big diversity.
In Japan, that just isn't really the case. It's just nowhere near the same level.
Anything outside of Tokyo.
No, it's
and like
insane.
I think if you're white tourist like us, you get put in that tourist bubble where you'll be treated like a different, but it'll be like a tourist, especially if you're in like a city. If you're something like if you're a minority in the country you're coming from, or if you're from like Southeast Asia or something like that, you'll be fine.
You'll be fine, but I'd always.
The police aren't one. This isn't a country where you want to be like pushing the police.
It's the police. They felt more like a threat than a safety measure, and that's tough. I mean, it's one of those things we can't change, and this podcast isn't going to change. But it's worth. As
Please
we say,
see the podcast. They're like, oh no,
we can't be doing that anymore. No, but as we say, it's worth getting
racism solved.
the right permits and the right people just on your side, and so you don't need to worry about that kind of stuff, and you shouldn't need to worry about that kind of stuff, no matter who you are. As long as you're not doing anything wrong, you shouldn't need to worry about the law in Japan when you're a tourist.
No,
not really.
No, the law.
Stick to, and that's why we say you don't need these videos where it's like, oh yeah, first things not to do in Japan, like and stuff. You don't need to take those too seriously. Take them for what they are, which is a good guideline to follow, but don't take them as.
Also, it's not like you're going to stick out if you do stuff wrong. There's so many tourists who do just whatever.
The majority of people going to Japan won't care about that kind of stuff. Tourists
it felt that way. Sometimes you're looking at tourists and you're thinking like, "Fuck, I'm one of them. Yeah, do I look like that?
Oh God, I don't want to be doing that."
People who they just disrespect everyone. I think that's just who they are as people.
It can be quite crazy sometimes, but I mean,
we didn't even stop to help Scoot, man.
That's a story for another day, man. That's a Korean story, man. You
can't bring the Korean stuff into the Japanese one.
You can't be teasing him with that.
I'm teasing you for the Scoot man story. Naughty. That'll be coming soon.
But I mean, it is quite interesting. I'm looking forward to gauging what our audience would like to listen about, because obviously, gauging. That what I always like to talk about, because I've got stories about Korea. We got plenty. We were in Korea for almost half a year, So I mean, we have a lot of stuff in Korea as well, if people would like that. But we had planned to just kind of stick with Japan for a while, just get a bit cemented down.
Definitely.
Where we were placing in. I mean, for us, this podcast is still, it's still pretty new, right? I mean,
it definitely is. Well, I mean, this is the first episode.
This is number 1.
This is the. There'll be a lot of changes as time goes on, because we're hoping for it to be a weekly thing.
Yeah, every week.
It's been hard so far.
that has been a struggle.
It's been
Recording
so
this
hard.
is the first episode, and we started recording the first episode, aka this one, 2 weeks ago. And we've had about 4 variations of it, and each one we suffered software failures, recording, overheating,
Tried 100 different
cameras,
things to try and fix it, and you know
lighting
what? If this
issues.
one fails,
It's gonna be rough, but hopefully it won't.
well, if you see this, it obviously didn't.
Yes, and we can celebrate. We can celebrate hard.
Celebrate good times.
Listen, guys, watch this podcast, and next time maybe I won't have to have just water in my cup. I'll have a house to go back to when I leave Cullen's room.
I don't even have a house. I've got a room in an apartment which I share with 6 other people.
Woohoo, woohoo.
Luckily, no one's here at the moment, so we can be kind of loud.
Yes. We would quite like to start having guests on our podcast as well as time goes on, as COVID allows for that, because in our country it's quite tough right now. Plus, I mean, having like a noteworthy guest that's worth having on when you're new, that's quite a challenge.
It's hard. It may be hard to tell from the angle of the camera, but about the space we have for another person to sit in
Oh god,
is about.
they'd have to
this
sit on the
much.
bed. I think they'd have to sit on the bed.
That
Unless
would
they
be
could
tough.
fit a chair in here.
Because this bed may look nice and soft, but actually it's really
It's
not.
not. It's made out of wood. He sleeps on wood.
Yeah.
But no, we do want to try and broaden it out a lot. And part of the reason we're doing this podcast is because we want to see where it takes us. We want to see what we can build off it. And, you know, we're both filmmakers. We love recording actual videos on location. And we'd love to do some, like, specials or, like, you know, stuff that isn't just sat in front of a camera. But this is our staple. This will be our bread and butter.
Yeah. Well, it's also because, like, long term, looking in a year at minimum, 2 years, hopefully at maximum, from now, we want it to be that this is based in Japan. Now, that doesn't mean that the first one in Japan will be in 2 years. I think there's a good chance we'll, depending on how well this is, if these do quite well, we'll probably travel there for, like, a few weeks to get some specials done, that kind of stuff. But at least for the next 2 years, it'll probably be mostly based in and around here.
I reckon so.
But after that, the plan is to have a place to do this in Japan where we can really open up that kind of viewpoint. When we talk about something, we can show it as easily as we can. Talk about it.
And that's what we're hoping. And a big thanks to everyone who's watching the podcast, because without you guys, well, there wouldn't be any point in us sitting down here and doing it. And the amount of interest we've had already before we've even released an episode has been really nice to see it, especially from like you know, friends and stuff like that. And, you know, it's not, I think when people look at YouTube and they look at doing YouTube, they think it's like, oh, that I could do that job, or I'd love to imagine being a YouTuber. Obviously we're not full-time YouTubers, we don't have any platform yet. And I think maybe even when we first started our first channel, which was several years ago now, had this kind of illusion that it was going to be easy, that sitting down and actually making content it wasn't a job, it was enjoyment. And there is a degree that it is, but to get a video that does well and to get that consistency, if you do anything when you have to do it, it moves away from having fun to more being, this is part of my daily routine, this is part of my job, and it becomes like that. And even if you're not paid for something, if you have to work on it at a certain time because other people rely on that, or, you know, your editor needs that footage by a certain time, then, you know, it's so much harder than anyone gives it credit for. And it's very easy for us to look at YouTubers who are like, oh, you know, I'm burnt out, something like this, and go,
what do you mean?
Yeah, like, you can't be burnt out. You get to just, you know, you get to live in Japan, you get to do all this amazing videos, but it's impossible to understand just how tolling that must be.
We did want to, you know, our original plan was to do these, and if you look back on the channel from when it's uploaded, you'll see that there are 2. And there probably will be more in the future, but these kind of series where we're showing Japan in person, because we did a lot of filming, we got a lot of stuff from it, because that was the plan. From about 3 months worth of footage, really. And that's great. But it came down to the point that we were at university, we were going to be traveling, these kind of things. A podcast kind of sit down once a week, get it done with.
It's quite chill.
Yeah, and
Just
it's
have a
kind of
nice
a case
chat.
of,
And yeah,
we're hoping that, obviously, just like every YouTuber, you're hoping it's going to do well. You're hoping that it's going to be a big thing or even a small, medium-sized thing.
enough to make it worthy doing the next one.
But I know we do know that for the first few,
We're under no illusions that
it's going to be pretty tough.
if we get like 100 viewers on the first one, then that's probably another 10 more than we were expecting. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but I mean, that's
You know
not
what's
a
going to happen?
problem.
There's going to have 99.
Oh, come on, man! Just tell one of your friends to watch the video for the 100.
But yeah, I mean, guys, subscribe and love that like video.
Press the like button now.
and the bell.
It's always funny when I see YouTubers who tell people to like and subscribe before they've shown them the content. It's like, what are they liking and subscribing? They don't know if they're going to like it yet.
Yeah. Hey guys, before we get into this video, like and subscribe because you don't know who I am yet. You want this on your liked video playlist.
I'm genetic YouTuber, generic YouTuber 101. Subscribe to my channel now.
Little animation of the bell mark being
Bing.
put on.
Oh well, we should get one of those.
Damn, what to go with our already amazing animations.
Wow. I mean, that being said, the animations, actually all the branding for this podcast was done in-house. It was done by almost every single thing that this podcast uses is the recording, the editing. It's all done in-house.
We did get the little animations done.
The transitions are done by external, just because we couldn't work out how to do it.
No.
But all of the logo, the branding, the colors, it was all designed by us because that's part of our specialty, our background. And, hopefully that brings a sense of like professionalism. I mean, setting up a podcast was not as cheap as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and it's expensive in time as well.
Yeah, because you forget that, especially during COVID, getting your hands on the resources you need, even things like, oh yeah, I need this cable to transfer this type of footage to this.
My camera needs this cable while also being charged. Fuck.
Oh god, I can't get both of those. I'm going to have to buy £22 worth of splitters and then £80.
It's like, oh, what's that? The lighting in our place kind of sucks.
We're going to have to buy a whole 3-piece lighting setup,
which really hurts your eyes after some time.
you get a little bit tired of it. But we're here now. That's all that matters in the end. And I'm so excited.
It's crazy that if this one goes well and the recording all works, it's going to be actually going out and people are going to be seeing it, which is crazy. And we can get on with next week bringing them out just every week.
Yeah, and that is our plan. We Cullen's already mentioned it a little bit, but our plan is to bring these out weekly, so that you'll have something on the weekend or something to go into your week with. So listen to and enjoy. And that also works for us because we're both on full-time degrees, and it also means that I see a lot of channels that upload every day. I just couldn't do that. I don't think I could ever do that.
No, because these earphones hurt. So if I had these in every day,
terrible. That's the worst thing, guys, about being a YouTuber. The weird monitoring headphones
to monitor audio to make sure it doesn't fuck up. God damn it.
I mean, we will be trying to mix it up a little bit because there's only so much you can talk about Japan every week before you'll start crossing yourself over, and that probably will happen. We will have episodes where we mention stuff I've already mentioned, but that's okay because you bring your own light to it every time, your new thought process, and we just hope that when watching this, it kind of can feel like you're having a bit of a conversation with us.
Yeah, a little bit of a sit down,
and we'd love to hear your feedback on the episodes as they come out. I mean, we're making these to engage with you, our audience. If the only people that see it are us, I mean, we're just talking to ourselves.
That's literally what we're doing at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But
I can even hear myself back. So I'm literally talking to myself.
Wow. Well, can you hear this?
Yeah, it was quite loud.
Oh, sorry about that, viewers. I was trying to torture him, not you.
Pain.
I'm so sorry.
Living in Spain without the S.
Oh, no. Living in Japan without the an. Living in Pan without the ja. Living in Japan without the J and an I. Pain. Living in. Oh, sorry about that.
But these should be around an hour long at the moment.
That's the plan.
We're gonna get a little bit of a feel for what people like, if you know. And please, honestly, any friendly criticism, please feel free to comment it. You know, if there's something you think we could have done more of, if there's certain things you want us to talk about more, this kind of shit, it's all really good for us because this is going to be developing over time, and we don't want it to be like, oh, there was 3 episodes and then it dipped.
Yeah, this is a work in progress, and you know, we have no experience of podcasting. We have no experience of talking for extended periods of time, but we're trying our best, and yeah, getting feedback would be wonderful. And also, you know, as cringy it is, you know, if you think you know people that would like to listen to the podcast, I mean, we're trying to work out at the moment which platforms we want to put it out on. At the moment, it will be up on YouTube on the Wenax YouTube channel, but in the future we may look to go on Spotify. I've heard some talk about Apple Music and stuff like that, different podcast areas, or we could just like. So you don't need to always have to watch the video. You don't have to have YouTube Premium if you want to listen to it, you know, in bed with the screen turned off or something like that. And, you know, we're still getting used to what's the norm within the scene. And, you know, we're excited to find that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, maybe we should just, you know, try and speak as much like podcasters as possible.
Hey, guys. Today I'm going to be talking about the current political situation in the
Yemen.
Yemen.
You can do it like, you know, the whole radio tubes. I was like, hey guys, so today I've got my best friend Travis on the radio.
Hello.
How are you doing?
And it's like, hello, Travis, you're on air. Hello.
It comes through with that phone like,
How are you doing?
Hello, guys.
that's how our guest is going to be. Hey, we got a phone in all the way from
Oh
Japan.
God, phone in guests. We've got the Prime Minister of Japan, or whatever he's called, the head of Japan, the Japan man on the phone.
We got anime.
How did you get this number?
Who are you?
Yeah.
What are your demands?
But yeah, no. So ultimately, if you like Japan, you like anime, you like Japanese food, Asia in general, or traveling, or just random stories about YouTube and stuff like that, then hopefully this podcast is for you. And it has been really nice to get this first episode out of the way, so to speak.
Yeah, it's been
out of the
pretty
way,
crazy.
is that the right words to use?
Yeah, kind of. Well, I feel like once you've done the first one, you get it up. You've done all that. We're gonna get into the flow of it.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, we're podcast virgins, right?
Just like in every other sense.
Oh, listen, man, you can speak for yourself. Bro.
Ooh.
But yeah, no. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. Hopefully, the next episode should be out from when you see this in a week's time. So check back and do click the bell. That way, you don't need to wait for the algorithm to push it for you again.
Yeah, hopefully, you know, because you know you want to see this.
Oh, 100%. You think you don't right now, but you do.
Yeah.
Please, I'm begging you. But anyway, thank you again. Our socials are here and here, so make sure to follow those and subscribe to the channel.
Yeah.
This has been the Wenax Podcast, episode 1, and we'll see you next time.
See you later, guys. Bye.